Hello, beautiful people. How are you guys doing? And welcome to Draw Too Much, my favorite channel here on YouTube, where I get to show you guys a whole bunch of crazy new stuff. Now, one thing that I'm really excited about is that Clip Studio is now creating an iPad app, and it works flawlessly. If you've ever worked with Clip Studio on your computer, this is the exact same thing on your iPad. It feels incredibly natural. There's zero learning curve. It's really, really fun. Now, one feature that I have learned that is incredibly useful as well on iPad is the ability to have an external keyboard to it. And if you have a Bluetooth keyboard, you can utilize this function, and it's incredibly helpful. You will find, as you're drawing, that you're actually slowing yourself down by when you zoom in or zoom out, having to use your fingers to do these functions. And here's the thing: if you're right-handed or left-handed, you're focusing that hand that you're working the most on to then also do your zooming and moving around your screen and stuff, and you're losing precious time that you need to get artwork done quicker. Using a separate keyboard with keyboard functions is going to take care of a lot of that stuff, and I want to show you guys how that's done. So we're going to go ahead and go into my iPad and on Clip Studio, and I'm going to show you some neat functions that you can set up on your keyboard that are going to help you out with your productivity, okay? So we're here in my program, and you can see that we're right now actually on Draw Too Much Live, my Twitch stream. And I record these videos during my Twitch stream, hanging out with my friends and followers here on Twitch. And would love for you to be a part of them. And you can find them at Draw Too Much Live on Twitch. Now, what I want to show you guys is basically I want to show you how we can make both worlds work for us. Having iPads, we're very used to the whole pinching and zooming, and we're very used to rotating the canvas. But I mean, look at all the work I'm doing in this arm to rotate my canvas, using two fingers to rotate it. That's a lot of extra movement, and it also requires that I have to take my pen away to do those functions, and it feels very unnatural to hold the pen separately while you're doing these functions. And so the way to fix that, once again, is to have an external keyboard. Now, there are other little issues that I'm going to explain to you real quick. How do you change your brush size? In a program like Clip Studio, which is kind of built for the PC or Apple computer, not really built for an iPad, to change your brush size, you have to go into the brush settings and then change them in here. There's not really a good way to change that unless you program in some functions on the tiny keyboard that you can get if you slide to the right or to the left of your screen. Now, the situation being, these are on the side, and you can program them to work for you, and that's great. But there's something a little bit more natural about having a separate keyboard. And since that function's there, why not utilize it? And you will find that even though this function on the side of the screen here is incredibly useful with the T1 through T10 commands, you will find that a natural keyboard makes a lot more sense. Okay, so what I can do is show you how to set up a couple key features that I use every single day. And I promise you, it will double your production time. Well, actually, it will remove half of your production time. That's what I meant to say. You will save time by having a separate keyboard set up and learning to use keystroke commands. And I'm going to show you how to set some of these up. Now, there is one little weird caveat as I get in here. If you are using a Windows tablet or a Windows keyboard, some of the functions that you're going to set up are going to look a little different. For instance, on a Windows keyboard, there are no functions for command. There are no functions for Apple-type functions, so you have to change them to work for you. In the same way, keyboard layouts between the Apple computer and the Windows computer are completely different. So when you're putting in key commands into here, it's going to show up different signs than what you're thinking you're going to expect to see. I'm going to show you what I mean. We're going to start by going into, once again, I'll show you where I went. If you go to the Clip Studio logo in the top left side of the screen, you're going to see shortcut settings, okay? We're going to hit that, and then you're going to see tools, and you're going to see options. We're going to start in options. In the options, one of the things that I want to program that's incredibly important to me is brush size. Having the ability to change my brush size without having to open up extra panels is going to save me a world of time, and that alone is just a humongous time saver. So what you want to do is you want to find where your brush size can be reduced or increased, and right here under options in the tool property palette, brush size, you can see I have two buttons programmed in here. The reduce brush size is the @ sign. The other one is the square whatever thing, whatever you call that thing, button program. Now here's the thing, once again, like I'm saying, the keyboard buttons that I'm using are these right here. This one, this one here and this one here, okay? Neither of those is the @ sign. The @ sign is completely on the other side of the keyboard. But the iPad, for some reason, recognizes one of these two buttons as the @ sign. In saying that, if you just program it in anyway, you'll be fine. So what I have is, if I want to do reduce brush size, I'm going to go ahead and click on that brush. I'm going to say reduce brush size, and then I'm going to hit the reduce that I want to set to make it smaller, which is this one right here, and it will program it in. Then I can do the same thing for the increase brush size. So we can go to the increase brush size and find what I want to do to increase it, hit the button, and it's good to go. You might not have seen a change happen there because obviously I already have those things set up, but it's literally that easy. Let's look at some of the other things you can do. One of the other things that I think is very important to have is a important function. If you want to move around the screen, you take one finger, you put it on the screen, and you can move it around. But sometimes it's more natural to actually use the key command. It's already programmed in. Just hit the space bar and take your pen and drag it around the screen, and you can move around without drawing. Works amazingly well. Same thing about rotating canvas. This is a lot of extra muscle movement to rotate your canvas using your fingers and doing the pinch and twist. So what we can do instead is you hit the letter R, hold it down, and with your pen, you can rotate your canvas. It works awesome. In the same way, if you touch the screen with the pen that you're drawing with, and you can see I've drawn a little red dot, and then if I hit the keys that I just programmed to make my brush bigger or smaller, it will show you the new size of the brush that you're creating. And if you just keep tapping that key, it's going to keep getting bigger. If you keep tapping it the other way, it's going to keep getting smaller. Now, I've made a big red dot on my screen. That's not what I have. I do black and white drawings. Why would I have a red dot on my screen? So I need an undo button. So what am I going to do? I could either go to the top of the screen and hit the undo button on the top of the screen, which it's nice that it's there, but it's not as natural as using a keyboard command. If you come from Photoshop or any other program where you've had a keyboard handy, you might recognize Command-Z or Control-Z or Alt-Control-Z. That's a function that we're all very used to. I want that programming as well. So what I can do is we can come up here, we can go to the shortcut preferences, and we can look for the undo command. I believe it may be under a different setting. Let's try under main menu. And if we go under edit, you can see that there's the undo function. And in here, I believe it's usually Command-Z. Now, like I said, if you have a Windows keyboard, you need to program that in separately. So double click it, hit Control-Z, you're all programmed in, and you're good to go. And you can do that with any of these commands and set up everything the way you want. Let's talk about one or two more important things that I think are going to be helpful. If I go back into my tool property here, you can see that I have a pencil here. Now, sometimes I like to change the opacity of a pencil. Now, there is an opacity function that you can program in, but because of how Clip Studio is built, changing the brush density feels a bit more natural than changing the opacity of a pen. So, go into your functions and add in some key functions for changing densities. And if you go under your options palette and you scroll down a little bit, you can see that there is a reduce and increase opacity. That's the first one I did. It didn't feel quite natural. Keep scrolling down, and you're going to scroll past a couple things, and you're going to come to brush tip. Reduce hardness, increase hardness, very useful if you want to program that. But right below that, reduce brush density and increase brush density. Program in whatever keys you want to for that. Come on into your key function, and if you touch those keys, you can see my brush density is increasing and decreasing by 10. Wonderful, absolutely useful. Same thing with my brush size. If I increase and decrease my brush size, you can see that changing on that palette as well. Incredibly useful. It's a must-have function, very, very important. If I want to zoom in out, I'm still trying to find a way to do that easily, but if you just want to hit your Z and then use your mouse, you can use your pen. If you go up with your pen or to the side with your pen, you zoom in. If you go down and to the left, you zoom out. It's a very natural feeling, and it works very well. Once you're done, you're still in that mode, or not. Well, I guess that works out quite well. So release Z, you're just fine. I didn't know that. That's good information to have even for me. And there's other functions that you can program in as well. You're going to know what works best for you, but I promise you, having the ability to change settings on the fly instead of having to open menus gives you a bigger screen area to work with. It's less to fuss with because you know your key commands and you can easily program stuff in. And with the amount of options that you have, if you want to jump between layers, if you want to create new layers, if you want to change color tones and saturations, all of that can be programmed into your keyboard, and it's going to be incredibly useful. Keep this in your bag. Next time you go anywhere, to that Starbucks that you like to draw at, just set this up next to your iPad, and it's going to become really, really natural. And even if you like switching between the two, I was literally doing a demonstration to my friends here on Twitch, and here I am drawing, and I'm saying, wow, this whole keyboard command thing is really useful, and then I grabbed with my fingers and I rotated the canvas. It still works just fine. So having multiple options to switch between everything, between the keyboard and I almost said PC because it's just so nice to have Clip Studio on an iPad, but switching to the iPad is really, really excellent. I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. Sorry if it took a little long, but I hope it helps you out because it's really going to give you that next edge to get artwork done quickly and focus more on what you want to be creating and less on how to create it. You need to build this program to work for you. You don't need to you don't need to learn this program's methods. You need to make this program work for you, and it's completely capable of doing that. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you did enjoy this, hit the like button, get subscribed, come on over here to my Twitch, and follow me here at Draw Too Much Live, and just be a part of my family. Let's have some fun together. I cannot wait to spend some more time with you in my next video. Thank you so much for all of your support. Get subscribed, come follow me. Follow me on Twitter as well, and also on Facebook. I'll see you guys soon. And Instagram. Just go look them all up. And if you need to come over to my Twitch when I'm offline, all that stuff shows you can figure out where I'm at. I will see you guys next time. You rock. See ya.